Hello, and once again, you are welcome to the chapter by chapter analysis of Redemption Road by Elma Shaw. So, we have ended our last analysis on chapter 9. So, this session will look at chapter 10 and chapter 11, if possible. Now, by chapter 10, you should know by now that there's an emotional climax through a critical confrontation between Bendu and Cobra. Now, the encounter between these two, the victor and the perpetrator, has actually allowed Bendu to gain a deeper understanding of both her own trauma and Cobra's humanity. The retrospection started in chapter 9. So now she's beginning to understand things deeply. She's beginning to understand things beyond self-suffering or being selfish, beyond a selfish point. No, beginning to look at it deeper. And very importantly, this recognition, it does not imply forgiveness. Rather, it represents a step towards her reclaiming control over her own narrative, beginning to understand and accept things her way. Now, Shaw, the writer Shaw also presents the redemption as a complex but incomplete process. Now, this helps us to understand that healing does not mean forgetting the past, but learning to live with it. So, you cannot heal by forgetting the past, but rather you heal by learning to understand that the past is integral, it's part of growing up, or it's part of the experiences that you need to have. And those experiences are not to be there to destroy you, but you have to learn from it. You have to accept them. Those you can control, you control them. Those you cannot control, you let them be. Now, Bendu's gradual movement towards emotional release or acceptance actually suggests that true strength lies not in revenge, but in the ability to confront pain without being consumed by it. The strength of a man is not seen in the man's ability to revenge, no, but it lies in the man's ability to accept pain, confront, and solve those that you can solve. Now, in the chapter 11, there's a continuation of the narrative and there's the exploration of the aftermath of Bendu's interaction with Commander Cobra, known as Moses Vane. Now, one key thing that it explores is the legal process that surrounds his trial. Now, the anticipation of judgment actually creates an atmosphere of tension, not only within the courtroom setting, but also within the wider community. I mentioned that when I was analyzing chapter 7 or 8 of how there were divides within the community. Some people expect justice offered by the legal system or the court system. Others expect justice, what I call the instant justice or mob justice. Kill the person instantly and let everything end over there. So that tension kept rising within the wider community. Now, people actually remain divided in their expectation, like I just mentioned. Trust in the formal justice system to deliver fair justice, or people who doubt the justice system and therefore expect to take things into their own hands. Now, for Bendu, in this chapter, she had a deeper retrospection. After confrontation between her and Cobra, which helped her to revisit her traumatic past, she has started assessing or reassessing her emotional state and how that is affecting her experiences. So instead of just being angry or fight for revenge, she's engaging in self-examination. So this presents a shift, like a gradual shift to being realistic. Bendu didn't just overcome her trauma spontaneously, instantly, no, but she starts to gain a clearer understanding of it. And this internal dialogue reveals that healing involves acknowledgement or acknowledging pain without allowing it to dominate your identity. And this is a very key step in the process of healing. Now, another thing about this chapter is that Cobra has been portrayed as a villain. He has always been a villain, but more importantly here, and this, he remains accountable for his actions, his demeanor, his reflections, everything about him suggests an awareness of the gravity of his crimes. So he was not presented as irredeemable, no, but his character embodies the ambiguity that defines the moral landscape of this redemption road story that we are reading. Another thing that you should note about chapter 11 is that there has been emphasis on the limitations of the legal justice or the legal system. So as the proceedings of Kobra's trial moves forward, it becomes clear that the courtroom verdict cannot fully address the emotional and the psychological scars left by the war. People like Bendu, justice is not only about punishment, but it's also about finding a sense of inner peace. So you realize that the chapter really entails a lot. So while the legal accountability is necessary for societal order, it alone cannot substitute for the deeply personal process of recovery. And this was mentioned earlier. So you realize that justice is needed, but justice alone isn't enough. We need more than just justice. We need personal confrontation, personal decisions to recover. And this brings us to the end of the analysis up to chapter 11. So in the next analysis, we'll continue with chapter 12. See you next. Bye bye.